Mormons do not do anything special to recruit to their cult or different from other cults. And unfortunately enough, ideology of self-deleting or unaliving oneself is very, very common in cults. And in general, it's one of the telltale signs when we are looking at a group. If we're not sure, not usually me, because I can usually tell the cult baby language that I've been speaking since birth. But when folks are unsure, when I was first looking at Zappos, because there was a lot of culty reports going on about it, and I was looking and I was like, this guy's a trip. He's very musky, but who knows? And then I started seeing that there were significant unalivings. Cult. It's one of the ways we know. I think that it comes from the consistent masking. This requirement of constant self-sacrifice is how we break people down. I'm Daniela, scholar of cults, extreme groups, and extremely bad leadership. I wrote a book about growing up in the Children of God, the pedo cult, where our ideology of self-deleting tended to report starting around 4 or 5 years old. It really was that bad. In the Mormon church, I have heard from thousands of ex-Mormons that they started thinking about removing themselves from the world, or they would be better off unalive at around the age of 7 and 8, which significantly 8 years old is the age when they get baptized. So they're being talked to a lot about sin and all of this stuff. But I think the biggest reason is that human beings cannot live under constant suppression of self. It is miserable. Margaret Singer says that cults are the antithesis of group structures in which a human being can develop. So especially for those of us growing up in cults, it can be something that plagues us as we were growing up and then throughout our lives. But unfortunately, and I'm so sorry to hear that this happened to you, having a loved one unalive themselves after joining a high control group is unfortunately a pattern that we see. And I think it has to do with the promise of purity and perfection after some space travel. If you can only be good enough, you can have perfection, and human beings can't ever be good enough, which is why the cult leaders don't have to follow their rules and their purity requirements. But it is extremely oppressive on the human soul, I believe, to have to tamp yourself down all the time in order to fit into a high control group. This is why I really love the line from Alanis Morissette, which will be used in the musical. We'll love you just the way you are if you're perfect. Because that's what cults promise. You can get signed copies of my book attached here if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this on TikTok, you're going to have to go to the link in the bio because I'm still in TikTok jail apparently.